Hello everyone, it's Richard Lewis here again with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite topics in all of esports I like to talk about. I'm going to be talking about Overwatch. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about the Overwatch League and how the league's MVP for the last season, Sinatraa from San Francisco Shock, has quit the game to jump across to Valorant. Riot Games' new FPS. It shouldn't come as a shock to anybody. He alluded that he was going to be doing this by tweeting out, I'm going to be streaming, 8 hours a day, 12 hours a day when the Valorant beta drops. Now, it's a terrible look that the MVP and still a contracted player is basically saying, I'm going to be spending my time playing this rival company's game as soon as it drops. But equally as well, I know from years of working in esports, when you play a game competitively and it's all you do and you're grinding and you're practicing, guess fucking what? You have to go and do something to unwind. And when a new game comes, a lot of players from a lot of games will retreat into it, whether it's a World of Warcraft expansion, whether it's a new FPS, whether it's like a new single-player campaign release, something like Doom, something like that. Obviously, people need to let off some steam. You need to get away from the day job, so to speak. So people maybe didn't read too much into it. Then it was reported by Jacob Wolf of ESPN, who else would it be, that he was actually going to officially retire from Overwatch and join the Sentinels Valorant team. You can see the report here. Reigning Overwatch League MVP and 2019 Overwatch World Cup champion. I mean, honestly, this Sinatraa guy, he's going to do very well in Valorant. He did everything in Overwatch, unquestionably a top-tier player, and definitely unlocked all the achievements in this game. You can't begrudge him going to try something else. But anyway, neither here nor there. The Overwatch World Cup champion, Sinatraa 1, will retire from competitive Overwatch and instead now compete in Valorant as a part of esports organization Sentinels. Sources familiar with the player's plans told ESPN. Sinatraa is parting ways with the San Francisco Shock, the only team he competed with in the Overwatch League and the one he led to win the Overwatch League Season 2 Grand Final Championships in Philadelphia in September. His last game with the Shock took place on March 29th versus the Los Angeles Valiant. The Sentinels could not be reached for a request for comment. The San Francisco Shock declined to comment, but confirmed Sinatraa was leaving the organization in a Twitter post after the news of his departure broke. The league also confirmed the news to ESPN in a statement. We appreciate the great play and personality that Sinatraa brought to the community. We'll miss him, and we also wish him the best for the future, the statement said. He also published a tweet longer. We'll get into that in a second. One thing I just want to address in this video, because I think this is very interesting and it's perhaps even worth a video by itself. Sinatraa's options for entering Valorant as a pro were limited because the Overwatch League barred retiring players from signing with the parent or sister organization of any competing team, sources said. In Sinatraa's case, whose Shock operate under NRG Esports, he could have played for NRG, which is putting together a Valorant squad, but not the parent or sister organization of any other team in the Overwatch League. Now, isn't this just so classically Activision Blizzard with their outrageous overreach and need for control that they won't even let a retiring player from the Overwatch League go and play an entire other game for another esports organization that happens to have an OWL team? It's outrageous. It shows the type of shit that most of these esports orgs that paid the 20 mil buy-in for this garbage project agreed to. And it's just absurd to even sort of have that level of control and to limit players' options moving into a new game. Out of spite, essentially. Oh, you want to retire from our game? Well, all of our business partners are not going to hire you. That is a much bigger story than the one we're talking about in this video. I might write something about it, I don't know, but people should be rightfully outraged about that. And that especially includes Overwatch fans, by the way. I know Overwatch fans don't like my content. I know they don't like my opinions. I hope they're starting to wake up as to how many of them were correct. But one thing you should absolutely be outraged outraged about as an Overwatch fan is servants of your game, professionals retiring, but wanting to do something else, whatever it might be, play an RTS, play a new FPS, go be a full-time streamer in another game, but having their employment opportunities denied out of pettiness and spite from all of the business partners and from all of the other orgs to agree and acquiesce to that demand. I think everyone should be very, very pissed off indeed. But let's focus on the matter in hand, which is obviously what a terrible look it is for the league MVP in a relatively short amount of time. As I said, he did everything. This motherfucker is legit. He did everything in the sport. But for him to walk away, it seems incredible. It's unprecedented in esports as far as I can tell. I can't think of any other high-level RTS player or high-level FPS player or a League of Legends player, for example, if we need an apples for apples comparison with a hermetically sealed league. I can't think of an LCS player that wins worlds. This is like Faker quitting League of Legends to go play Dota 2. It is that big. It is that seismic. And the optics of it are absolutely horrific because while some fans, and not all fans, because I've got to hand it to the Overwatch fans here, I do find they have a very high saturation of disturbed people that are really over-invested in the game. But I think they're starting to wake up. The penny is starting to drop to the problems that the league is in. Viewership, players walking away en masse. Tier 2 has been completely eroded because it's been neglected by Activision Blizzard. And all this before your cash grab sequel drops. I get it, guys. It probably is a tough time if you're an Overwatch fan. And I don't blame you for wanting to put your head in the sand. But I'm actually pleasantly surprised to report not a lot of people have been. They realize, I think, this is a terrible look for the league. There have been some that have tried to craft a narrative. The first narrative is that he wasn't going to play, which we know actually is absurd. If you don't believe me, you can hear it from one of his teammates, Super TF, on Twitch. That's the channel name there. He said directly in this Twitch clip here that actually, no, he was going to play. You can hear it.
So believe it or not, Sinatraa wasn't going to get benched. Smile. Chat. Sinatraa was going to probably play for the majority of the season. But he, you could just kind of tell in scrims that he was, unlike you, yeah, okay. You could just tell when it was scrim time, he didn't have that energy that he had last year, and it was just not the passion was gone because Krusty liked playing Sinatraa because he thought Sinatraa took, he was able to take control of the game, and he was able to be a leader and make assertive calls, and because a lot of people on our team have trouble doing that, but Krusty liked that Sinatraa was able to do that, so he wanted to have him play and be a strong shot caller, but Sinatraa just lost the drive. And he wasn't.
So I'll just pause it there. I mean, basically, it's not really a big surprise. Yeah, he lost his drive, he's lost his motivation, but he was definitely going to be part of the team. That's unquestionable. The narrative that he was going to be benched or even traded, some people were saying, is just nonsense. The player didn't want to play the game anymore. Now, he himself talked about where that loss of motivation came from. He addressed it on stream, and he basically said what I think a lot of us know, that these hero locks, the 2-2-2 position locks that Overwatch have implemented because Activision Blizzard still cannot balance this fucking game. So what they try and do is they just cut off portions of the game rather than address any cohesive balance, which, again, some of us said this was going to be a problem for the class-based shooter. It's been a problem that we saw in TF2. This, again, it's nothing new. If Activision Blizzard cared about Overwatch, they would have learned all of the lessons from the games that gone before. Unfortunately, Activision Blizzard sit in a room with everybody farting in it, huffing their own farts and saying, God, doesn't this smell wonderful? That's all they have ever done in every esport and every game. They know best. There are no lessons to be learned from any other games. not unless they're ripping off other people's IP. But anyway, again, topic for another video. I won't go off on a big rant. But here is Sinatraa himself.
Yeah. I think like when 222 came out, it definitely killed it for me. Cause like the queue times were like hours long. I couldn't fucking play a hero I wanted sometimes. Like everything just sucked about it.
So it's pretty short clip, but it gives the context. I mean, he's not like sort of a very verbose guy anyway. If you know his content, you know how he carries himself. Just sort of a real nice, down to earth, quiet model professional, as you'd probably expect. So this throws up a bunch of problems because now we know, first of all, he's leaving because he's sick of the game. That is a terrible indictment for somebody that you would imagine, having been such an incredible talent and having done everything there is to do in the game, there would be some level of enjoyment there. Absolutely not. He says, like, all the balance changes that Overwatch have implemented killed the joy of the game for me, which is such a sad state of affairs. But also, as well, there are broader problems at work. Here's one that you might have already picked up on. The MVP of Overwatch gets a skin, a championship skin. Here it is being reported by Deserto. Disclosure, I'm a freelance writer for Deserto. You can see here, this is the teasing of the Sinatraa MVP and Shock championship skins. Well, no, this now is going to be... is it going to be released in the game? I suppose they still have to. By all accounts, according to this report here, which just takes away a clip from Sinatraa that says his skin is finished, and also a quote from Jeff Kaplan. They're done. So they're ready to be rolled out at some point. The question is now, what are the optics of doing that? Like, how bad does it look if you roll out a skin for an MVP that is purchasable, that is there, you know, for people to use, for a guy who's not in the fucking game anymore, for a guy who bailed? That's like such a terrible look. It's like really, really bad for the game. So they're in a bit of a quandary there about how they handle that now, and also as well. I mean, I don't know anything about how the revenue's all divided up specifically with those. Does create another interesting problem, doesn't it, for a retired player? As always, probably a topic for another video, but. So we know that there are all these issues that are going to be tackled now by that have to be faced head on by Sinatraa leaving, and Activision Blizzard are going to have to come out and come up with a very clear precedent. They're going to have to set the standard for how they deal with issues like this moving forward, because as another player, you know, you can see Dylan Bignet on Twitter, who is an Overwatch player for Dallas Fuel. He basically has come out and said, listen, get used to this. It's the sign of the times if you happen to be a fan of this game. There are going to be more pros following suit. There it is. Sadly, won't be the only player from Overwatch League doing that. Valorant is promising. Now, I think there's two things at work here. It's not just that Valorant is promising, because the reality is one of the reasons why the optics for this are especially bad is that there is no established scene. And in fact, Riot Games have said, we're going to keep Valorant open circuit probably for the first year or two, which is exactly the model they used in League of Legends before bringing everything back in-house and taking it away from business partners that help build their game up. It looks like they're going to follow the exact same model. Now, why wouldn't they? It worked for League of Legends. It's still the biggest esport on the planet, even though CSGO is hot on its heels. So there's a double whammy here. You have the most valuable player leaving the professional league, leaving the game, and going and joining an organization in a new game with a completely new team, new teammates. That's big enough. But the fact that you're doing it for a game that is still in closed beta and has no structured tournaments, even no structured esports scene at all, utter insanity. That is the biggest indictment on where Overwatch is competitively now, unfortunately. And this has been coming for a long time. The balance is terrible. The game isn't fun for people to play, either casually, but certainly professionally. The Overwatch League has no clue about how they're going to fix these problems moving forward. And everything they've been putting in place is a band-aid on a gaping wound that desperately needs serious, intelligent medical attention. I don't think the league's going to die as a result of this. There isn't going to be a headshot with the Overwatch League. What's going to happen is it's going to swirl down the pan. And the YouTube money it got with the 160 mil for that, the Call of Duty League and Hearthstone, it means that they have to at least make another go of it for another year, maybe two. But honestly, you can already see the writing on the wall. People would rather be in new games. People would rather be in fun games. People are happy to play a year or two of Overwatch and then just walk away like it ain't nothing. There's a weird ephemeral quality to being an Overwatch pro. It's very much here today and gone tomorrow, which is why it's absurd when you see them retiring jerseys. Your game ain't even fucking that old, let alone your professional league. And I think everybody realizes it. I think now, if you have paid the money for an Overwatch franchise, you know that it wasn't the best investment, but you just have to console yourself with the knowledge that in most cases it wasn't your money anyway. I think it's sad, but ultimately, if you are a fan of Sinatraa, I would urge you moving forward to continue to support him in a new game. He's done nothing wrong except decide to pursue what he sees as a better opportunity for him, a better quality of life. There's a whole underlying issue that no one's talking about, the amount of practice, the living conditions, the work-life balance that the average Overwatch pro has. People are thinking it's going to be much, much better in Valorant because of the open circuit nature of it, the fact it's new, and perhaps most incredibly of all, the salaries. The salaries are already commensurate, if not superior, to the average Overwatch League player, even somebody like an MVP. Don't think for a second that Sinatraa didn't get paid with this move. So, terrible optics for the Overwatch League. But a very, very good move, not just for Sinatraa. It's a good look for Valorant. It's a very good look. Riot Games will have been punching the air a little bit triumphantly, because while the game they clearly want to kill is CSGO, that's, well, not kill, but that's where they want to take the most players from. It's going to be Overwatch players that I think are the most intrigued by it, because Overwatch offers so little by comparison to being a CSGO pro. But anyway, there you go. Those are my thoughts. I thought I'd keep you all abreast about it. And what would I be if I wasn't having a little bash on the Overwatch League? Richard Lewis. So there you have it. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed my views. Thanks for supporting the channel. Be sure to subscribe and click that bell and all of that stuff. And until the next video, take care of yourselves.